Welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast. My name is Jill Hart. I'm the founder of The Empathy Edge, and this show is built for up-and-coming life, health, and transformational coaches who are looking to share their coaching journey, grow their practice to change more lives, and be the change they want to see in the world. If you're an up-and-coming coach and would like to be featured on this podcast to talk about your coaching journey, struggles, and success stories, please visit jointheyouworldorder.com, and don't forget to subscribe to get notifications of the daily content.
Hi, welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast. This is Jill Hart, your host, and today we have with us Adele Bernard. Adele facilitates empowering you to embrace life's transitions with confidence, understanding, and resilience. Together, she works with you to illuminate the way forward, one transformative step at a time. And she's the host of the podcast, Authentic Conversations. Welcome to the show, Adele. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Feels like an old home week. We chat all the time.
Yeah.
You were just talking about you're changing your tagline a little bit. You want to share what it's going to be now?
Sure.
What just came to you?
As you know, and people that know me, that marketing tagline has been a nemesis, right? Because I help you through transition, right? Well, what does that mean? So the more I thought about it, and the more I tried to hone in on what that means, it's about coming home to, whether it's your home, your physical home dwelling, or your home in your body. And I find most people don't know either because they're too busy doing. And it actually was triggered also by a native shaman who said, you human beings have gotten it too complicated. If you want to ground, take your shoes off and hug a tree. Any tree, anywhere, anytime. Any other questions? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so simple, yet we miss that. And so I said, well, how do I transform people? How do I help them through the transition? I bring them home. Then everything's possible.
I have a great story about trees that just happened to me. And when you were saying that, I just have to share it. I brought a tree from my son's house because he's like tearing up all the shrubbery over there.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just one tree, it's pretty big. And I was just like, I love this tree. I don't want you to tear it out. So he dug it up and he brought it over to my house and I planted it and all the leaves died. And I was just holding onto the trunk, telling it, please, please live. And I've planted you with all these other baby trees and the mama tree's right over there. And I just, please live. And the leaves turned brown and curled up and fell off. And I waited and waited. And then just as I was getting ready to reach over to pull it out, I noticed there was little green leaves all over the trunk. It's like, it lived.
Yeah. Well, and that's a perfect example of are we connected to where we want to go, or are we just like being transplanted and going nowhere? And that example is perfect because when you get that new soil or that new home or the new job or whatever the transition is, it's not immediate. You have to come home to see the growth, to realize, there's new growth, there's new leaves coming, there's new aspirations coming.
And the roots have to go down and they have to like get into the community and become part of the ecosystem that's in the new place that they're coming home to.
Yeah.
It needs to become established as their home when they've made the transition. This whole thing like totally works.
And it's interesting because I'm very connected to willow trees, and they're known as the wisdom the wisdom keepers of the tree family. And one day I was sitting with them and it was just like, what am I missing? I don't know what I was trying to figure out that day.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the message I basically got was the wisdom is here. We are the first internet. And I
Yeah.
was like, what? And so then it was like they went on to say that as we grow, as we have this big, beautiful tree above, we're the same below. And I was like, huh. So we're trying to build this beautiful future, but how much are we building it in so it will last, so it will grow and flourish? Because if we don't build roots, we're dangling in the wind.
And when wind comes, it will blow right over it because it's not.
And so as you're going through a transition, okay, I want this new house. Okay. But have you thanked your old house? Have you understood the roots that you made in whether it's 6 months, a year, whatever, before you move on to this new house or this new job? Right? So it's being grateful and thankful for everything that has brought you to this point before you move to the next point.
And giving space for new things and new connections to be made, and not expecting when you transition into something that it's going to be as sturdy and stable as the thing that you're leaving, because you haven't developed the roots and you haven't made connections and you haven't given it time to kind of relax into being the new normal for you.
Mm-hmm. And on the other hand, it could be like if you're leaving a stressful marriage, it could be the first time you're breathing in a long time. Like, I can breathe. Like, this is my space, however big or small it is. I don't care that I'm sitting on the floor because it's my space. Right?
This is really interesting. My daughter is getting ready to move out and she's getting her own place. It's like, it's a closet. Let's just be honest.
Yeah. It's her closet though.
But it's going to be her closet, and she's an hour from home, and she's just like getting ready to launch, and it's very exciting for her because she's at the very beginning of her life. And on the other side, my husband and I are looking at it like we're transitioning into the back end of our lives, and we're not going to have any kids at home for the first time in our 30 years together. The first time in my whole adult life that I haven't really had kids in my home since I was in my 20s. So it's just interesting how the dynamics are happening, and we're all very excited, for different reasons. And it's just interesting how transitions happen. They don't just happen to the person who's transitioning. Even if you're moving or getting divorced or getting a new job or starting a new career or becoming an entrepreneur, all these things, they don't just impact you, they impact the community around you.
And that's a good point, because as much as, like, say, your last child's leaving the home, and I've had this with couples, they look at each other and go, do we like each other? Do we, like, where are we in this situation? Because you don't have that child anymore to interact, to buffer, to, right? And I've seen couples really struggle with finding themselves as the unit before they have babies.
Yeah. Retirement does that to people too. When like my husband retired about 3 years ago now. And he was a truck driver, so he was gone all but maybe 3 days a month for most of our marriage. And the last few years he'd been gone he was home 2 or 3 days a week, but gone the rest of the time. So having him come home, I'd been living his life for him like the whole time he was gone. He didn't have friends. He come home and I wait on him hand and foot because, he's out there doing his thing and I can do whatever I want when he's gone. So when he came home, we had to really decide where our boundaries were. We both like our alone time. We need space from each other and other people every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we like to do things together. We like each other, but we don't want to have to do for each other all the things all the time.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting how it's evolved because he's gotten out in the community. He goes to the gym 3 days a week and he knows all these people and he's made friends at the hot tubs that he goes to a few times a week. And I mean, he's got all of these activities and he knows people when he goes to the grocery store. He's learned how to grocery shop. I mean, he never grocery shopped before.
Well, you don't though. Right? Like when you're on the road all the time, that they know the inside of convenience stores or truck stops or like it's a totally different life. But grocery shopping's a new adventure.
Yeah, and as the person who's the primary food preparer in the beginning, because he's learned how to cook even.
Yeah.
I mean, his idea of cooking used to be sticking things in the microwave, but we took the microwave out of our house. So you have the toaster oven. And I bought him these cute little pans to cook his stuff in, the cast iron, but they're really tiny.
Yeah.
He's doing really good. And he's
I
developed.
think now it's like you guys get to rediscover who you are as a couple and date and, hang out and okay, we've hung out enough. Bye. You can go to your respective places in your house or yard or whatever, right? And and like that's the whole thing about transition is if you're not clear on what you want, you can't get mad at someone for breaking your boundaries. If it's a sliding scale, right? And even with like your kids moving out too, it's like you're so excited that they're starting their life together and they're only a phone call away. Whether it's 2 miles, 500 miles, they're a phone call away, and I think that gives them the little bit of safety of, well, I'm out here, but I'm not alone.
Yeah, she's moving to be closer to her friends who are up there at the university. And I'm so happy for her. I mean, this is just like such a great move for her. And she's got ideas about what she wants to do. And she's taking the steps that she needs to take in order to make them happen. But it's just, all of life is about transitions. You just, and being able to navigate them well, I think does take, sometimes it's really helpful to have somebody along that can say, yeah, you're going to experience these sorts of things and these feelings are valid. And if you just need somebody to talk to about those feelings, because sometimes, like, I know when I got divorced many, many years ago before the internet, and my parents were only barely talking to me at any given time, I didn't have anybody. It was horrible. It was like I didn't know how to process the feelings I was having. And I ended up changing jobs at the same time. And it was just really weird and lonely. And I even went to a therapist at one point, but I didn't even know what to ask the therapist or what to say to the therapist. It wasn't a very good therapist, let me tell you that. Because I left, it was like, I don't know what that point was.
But I think it also, like, even with the people I work with, if you come and you're going, well, I don't know, I just thought I'd try you out. Okay, what are we working on? I don't know. Do you have any questions? Maybe. And it's like, so, and I'm saying this for anyone.
Mhm.
If you're going to go and get help, congratulations. But you got to do a little work before you get there, so we know where you want to go, right? Because I might say, oh, well, you showed up and you have nothing to say, but, well, I can see that, you're in transition, you're going through this. Okay, I don't want to tell you what you're doing. I want you to tell me how to help you come home, how to help you come home to you, so you never end up in this space again, right? Because I remember talking to different co-workers when I used to be in corporate, and I'd be like, so why are you leaving team? Well, it's got to be better. And I said, well, how's it going to be better? Well, because it's just a different team. Like, it's And I said, but it's still you. What do you mean? I go, unless you change, the team's not going to change. You're going to get the same reaction. So you really want to change teams, or you want to change you? Right? You are
But you're
always in.
asking some questions that lead them to understanding that they need to be an active participant in this, and it starts with them.
Yeah. But it's also like, if you are just changing because someone says, oh, well, this position's, okay, I'll come. Well, why are you feeling you need to leave the team you're on?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because maybe the team you're on is the best fit for you at this time. But if you don't examine it, how do you know the next team isn't going to be the same thing? It could be better, it could be worse, but you don't know because you haven't done self-discovery. And yeah, and it's just interesting because I have a friend who just left her job because she got poached, right? I mean, it still
Mm-hmm.
happens. And she said she's never had such an emotional 2 weeks ever. Like, some people just wouldn't talk to her. Others were just like, why are you doing this to us? And she's just like, she was shocked at the emotion. And I said, but I totally get it. She's like, why? And I said, because you are the encourager. You're the team player. You're a phenomenal leader. And she's like, oh. And I go, and you've actually stayed long enough for people to get to know you. Right? I said, but I also understand you go into this other company
Mm-hmm.
because it's ready to take off. Right? It's smaller. They got, they have forward thinking. She's a forward leader. Like, I get it. That's what you have to deal with, the emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And she was
sometimes you're just not
surprised, right?
expecting them,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't
Mm-hmm.
know what you don't know until you
Yeah.
get to the other side. It's like
Yeah.
when I went into the therapist, I didn't know what questions to ask. I didn't
Yeah.
even consider that I should,
Talk about your divorce.
right?
Yeah.
Or how I was feeling about it,
Right.
or, you know, just to process the emotions that I had,
Yeah.
because I initiated it. It was like I was either going to get divorced or commit suicide. And I decided that, divorce was probably the better of the two choices.
Yeah.
So I left him. But I didn't really have the emotional, the tools. Back in those days, we didn't talk about our emotions. We didn't talk about how we were feeling about things. You just powered through it. And, what you felt or who you were fundamentally didn't matter. It
Yeah.
was just like you were just expected to be whatever the team needed and put up with whatever, especially as
Well,
women.
and that's changing because we are in the cycle of emotions as a
Mhm.
world.
Yeah. I think it's a
And
great thing.
I know, but everyone's getting caught off guard,
Mhm.
including I did, because I used to go, I used to have this one friend, man, your waterworks. Oh, leave me alone. I'm like, no, that's cool. Like, I don't know how you do that. Right? Like I'm always like amazed that people can cry at movies. I'm like, how do you do that? Well, waterworks have turned on, right? Because I'm just like, I feel it all now, right? Because I'm allowing myself to be the empath I always was,
Mhm.
right? I used to block it because I was like, I was bombarded with it and I didn't understand it. And now
Mhm.
it's like, oh, I understand it. I can, and I still have to be very careful being with groups of people and, because I can get overwhelmed really, really easily.
It's being more emotionally connected, I think, to who we are,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to going through life just being told what you should think and feel.
Yeah.
And for me, that happened a lot in
Well,
my
but
life.
it's also like that's part of coming home to you. It's like what conditionings, what untruths, and what beliefs have you been told that aren't yours?
Mhm. And can you let go of that?
Yeah.
Are they serving you? And
Yeah.
just really looking at them. And I'm so grateful that we've come to this point as a civilization. Really, the whole world is moving in this direction
Yeah.
where it's it's more important. The being is more important than the doing.
Yeah. Because the doing always gets done.
Somehow.
Somehow, some way, it always gets done. And it's also more important to realize that the I and the you are leaving. It's the me and the unity,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we look after the me in our heart,
Mm-hmm.
the community of the unity will happen,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And then I'm going to say, like, we've come through some crazy times. We still got some more. um, it's all in how you choose to move through. I'm choosing to be the duck. That's
Yeah.
nice. Thanks for sharing. Carrying on my day, right?
It it seems like over the last 4 or 5 years, since it's like the pandemic was a turning point for the whole world. And there's like before that and after that. But
Yeah.
it seems like after is, even though there's a lot of emotion trying to be ginned up on all sides of the political field out there. And I'm very apolitical. I really could care less. I think they're all the same and they all need to go. But that's just my opinion. Um, but I
In
think
time.
that I'm sorry.
In time. It's not going to happen overnight, but in time.
Yeah, I think that, and I think in time they will all go. Um,
Yeah.
but it's interesting that more and more people are starting to feel like I feel, in terms of, it's just a show, and it's not. I don't have to have an emotional reaction to everything that's going on. I can just watch it
Mm-hmm.
and recognize that it's moving in a direction. It'll
Mm-hmm.
move in a different direction. There's probably something else totally going on behind the scenes that we aren't even being shown. So it's not even reality. We're just given we're just given this show and told how to respond. The people on this side should respond like this, and the people over here should respond like this. That's
Well,
the audience participation.
and
It's like,
the guidance I've been getting is
mhm,
choose the light for whatever that looks like for you.
mhm,
And the outcome will be the outcome because it's already in the plan, but
mhm.
choose the light for what that looks like for you. And that's all you can do.
Yeah,
Right?
I just
Like
enjoy.
vote, don't vote. Like, well, I don't agree with not voting,
Mhm.
I don't care what your political beliefs are, at least say something somewhere. Um, but follow your light, follow your inner light, and you'll like that's the whole thing about coming home, because when you're home in your body, following your heart, not your
Mhm.
head, there's never a wrong decision.
Mhm.
Can't happen. Your heart won't lead you down the wrong path, right? And even if it looks like the wrong path because like something bad happened or whatever, you're like, okay, that could be good, it could be bad. What's the bigger reason? What am I learning this for? What is this happening for? Right?
Mhm.
And it's, you just got to do what's best for you without harming others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how do people work with you, Adele?
Well, let's see. So they can book a one-on-one session, um, and have, like, I call it the look and feel seal. Um, and so yeah, they can book a one-on-one session, but I also have a few more spots for my 3-month program. And so that's more of going through the full journey of where you are, what's going on, doing the transition, making sure you're okay on the other end before, and um, yeah, but so
Is that a group
no, it's one-on-one.
one-on-one? Okay.
Um, I've been guided to offer that because people are wanting to shift, but they want the anonymity to do it on their own.
Mhm.
Right. And I was
Makes
like, because
perfect
I was
sense.
going to do a group, and it was like, nope, these people out of the program might want to get a group going after,
Mhm.
and I'll allow that when that comes. But um, for right now, it's like I'm being guided to, people are too fragile.
Yeah.
They're trying to come home to themselves after the last 4 years before they venture out into this new unknown. They know it's better, they know it's good, they just don't know. And so,
Yeah. It's just putting the roots down to get
yeah,
established and to
yeah,
get your footing and to feel confident in being a being
yeah.
before they start like letting their light out and putting out their
Well,
leaves.
and as we started this conversation, I had to do it first, because I've always felt myself very grounded, very sharing my light, very sharing the love and kindness. And then it was like, even I was kind of going, what? What are you talking about? More? What do you mean more? Right? Step up more, shine more. Like, I'm like, okay. And so I've done the transformation myself. So now I'm more aware of how I can help people. And um and it's working with like your DNA. It's working with the land of what your house is on. It's working with all those, like we said, the untruths, the conditioning, the beliefs that aren't yours, that have come down through your lineage, right? A lot of healing for the feminine, not women, feminine,
Mhm.
is happening. And um and more importantly, like, the walls need to come down. Those what we think are safety barriers are actually hurting us now.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
they're keeping us from being connected
Yeah.
to others.
Yeah. Yes, bad things have happened, but they don't have to hold you back anymore. Right?
Yeah.
And it's
It,
coming to your truth, not my truth for you, your truth. And only you know your truth. I'm just here to hold your hand while we figure it out for you.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Are you a channel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I remembered that. And
Yeah.
and you've always been a channel.
Yeah.
You've had encounters with the others
Yeah.
for since you were really young.
Yeah. So whether like it's your pet that needs help, you need help. I wouldn't say I'm a medium, but I have channeled from the other side for loved ones. If they come through, I don't say no. It's whoever is in front of me is who comes in. Because my guides talk to your guides and then they hash it out before it comes through me. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay. I think I know. Okay. Nope. You're taking me in a different road. Okay. Right. And so it's a journey.
No,
too,
turn
right?
here.
Yeah. It's a journey. And so, and see, and that's the other thing too, right? Because AI is so prevalent in our lives. People have forgotten how to just drive without a GPS. So if you can't drive your car, if you can't drive your car, well, kids nowadays don't even know they don't even have the wiring to understand a map. So if you don't even know how to drive a car to find a place without GPS, you think you're finding your heart from your head? No.
Interesting. I just got a flash about kids and clocks.
They can't read them.
They can't read analog clocks. One of my kids cannot read an analog clock. No matter how many times I've tried to teach her, she just is like, she's 20 and she's always had digital clocks around. Yeah. The other ones knew how, but she just never.
Well, and they I don't know who did the science on it, but maybe Bruce Lipton. I don't know. I don't know. But there was scientists that say like the 25 and under never read a clock, will never know how to do a map. Like the basic things that we knew, grew up with, whatever, they just have no comprehension. They don't have that wiring, right? And I was like, that's so weird. But yet, can they get you anywhere in the world with their phone, whether they speak the language or not? Right?
Yeah.
So, and then you come to the Canadians who are just messed up all the way, because we had the American system and the British system, and we mashed them. So sometimes we're talking ounces, sometimes we're talking inches, sometimes we're talking feet, sometimes we're talking kilometers. Like, you're going, whatever. We're Canadian. We did our own
and you
way.
Speak two languages.
Yeah.
I couldn't even decide to just stick with one.
Well, no, but I mean, it's just because we have Quebec. But if you think about, like, because where I'm from in Alberta, right? There's no French spoken here. It's all Spanish.
See?
So, I guess, if I go to the east, I could understand the French. But if you go downtown Calgary, it's Spanish. There's no French. Like, so much so when I was working corporate and I was waiting for the elevator and everyone's talking, and I'm like, you guys are all in Canada, speak it. Dead silence. And I go, thank you. Right? If you want to be in your country and speak your language, then stay there. But you came to Canada. We speak English.
Unless you're in Quebec.
Oh, that's true. But they're Quebecois is a totally different French than France.
Oh yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like, I had a kid in my class who was from Quebec who failed French class.
Probably drove him crazy because he's trying to learn a different language that's so close, but very different.
That's what we say about the newfies too. You only can talk to them before they drink. Because once that kitchen party starts, oh my Lord, you can't understand a word they're saying. Because the pitch changes, the speed goes up like 5 times, and you're like, what? And then you don't really care because you're just having a good kitchen party.
Nobody will remember in the morning anyway, so.
Oh, I know,
but
I mean, yeah, but as a sober person, I'm just like, well, okay. I just laugh. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are saying, but it's a good time. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
You seem like you're having fun. That's all
Yeah.
that matters.
And so, yeah. So just to get back to when I work with people, like they get that channel, they get that pure energy. Right. And so, as you were saying, going into that psychologist or psychiatrist saying, I don't know even the questions to ask, I trust the guides to prompt you.
Yes.
To go, so what's going on in your life? Well, I'm splitting from my husband. Oh, okay. So we have at least a lane. Are you splitting for good? Are you splitting for not good? You know, right? And so, and I trust in that. Because I always say, whoever is meant to work with me, they find me. If you're not meant to work with me, you won't find me. Right? But no, if you choose to work with me, I will hold that container of love and compassion, and you're never left alone.
I love that.
Yeah.
So this has been an amazing conversation, Adele. I really appreciate you joining me. So what's the one thing that you hope the audience takes away from our conversation? We've covered so much.
I know. That transition is a fact of life. We're always going through it. We're like, whether you call it transition, transformation, change, whatever, we're always going through it. And I'm just here to say you don't have to do it alone. I would like to work with anyone who hears this and wants to work with me. It'd be my honor. And yeah. We're not alone. Let's do it together, because we are a community moving into unity. And these are some interesting times. So let's help you together.
Awesome. We'll leave it with that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. Be sure to like the episode and let us know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was. You can support the podcast and grow your business or coaching practice by taking advantage of the tools offered in our store, which you can find at heartlifecoach.com/store. See you next time as we hear from another life, health, or transformational coach being the change they seek in the world.